As NASCAR expanded in the late 1980s, the American West was once again a great American frontier. New tracks popped up and existing tracks were added to NASCAR calendars, such as Phoenix International Raceway, built in 1964 and already hosting USAC and kart. Phoenix has been synonymous with NASCAR since, hosting several pivotal late-season chase and playoff races, and ultimately becoming the home of the NASCAR finale. But this isn't quite NASCAR. The UFL Elite Series takes a step back tonight and is going racing on an older version of this historic facility and putting the track right back into its older penultimate race role in the season calendar. Welcome to the UFL Speed Visions 100 at Phoenix. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Zach Burtis alongside today, ready to cut our playoff field down to our championship 4 this evening over the course of 100 short laps at the legacy version of PIR, the virtual Phoenix International Raceway, as it was way back when I first joined iRacing. Well, maybe not quite when I first joined iRacing. Come to think of it, I think New Phoenix at that time had been released relatively recently, but hey, there were still plenty of races that I had to cut my teeth on here in Pickup Cup and all of those great series. This is such a cool version of this racetrack, Zach, and one that I think a lot of us iRacers, and especially iRacers that have been around for a while, older iRacers, really reconnect with.
Absolutely, this track's been around for a long time. I remember when I first got on the sim, Andrew. This is one of the first tracks that I got on, aside from the old Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's such an enjoyable track. I really miss the grass in the new layout, and having it here, it just makes everything so much more interesting, so much better. The track's a lot more narrow. You really have to find your way around here, and I think these guys are going to do really good racing tonight as we get ready to roll into the penultimate race of the season.
And usually we wouldn't have grass here on the track map, but it's so important to highlight in this whole scene. I think you really have to point out the grass on this racetrack and where it sits, because it completely changes the complexity, the complexion, if you will, I think is a better word, of this racetrack. You cannot cut that dogleg as you see in the background. You have to go around the grass, and it makes it more of an intermediate, I feel like. That said, it also slows you down a lot more in the corners because there's less banking. It's older racetrack. It doesn't hold you in the banking like it used to. A lot of bumps down through the bottom lane especially, and I think whoever can run higher up on the racetrack more efficiently just might be the driver who wins this race and puts themselves potentially in the championship for next week. There's a lot really to talk about with this racetrack, and we're gonna have to try and fit it into just 100 laps. That's not very long here. NASCAR goes for 312. Sometimes you see a lot of leagues go for 156. Only 100 laps here at Phoenix is not a very long time. That's 100 miles in this evening's Speed Visions 100. Once again, welcome to the virtual PIR. Let's take a look at point standings as qualifying wraps up behind us. This is a really important race for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it is the elimination race, Zach, but you also see just how much the points have completely changed. Now, you're pretty much looking at Aaron Smith and Josh Chin having their little battle for 3rd and 4th in the seeding, unless Chris Wetz, Leighton Sabile, Nate Stewart, Sean Pelleg, Gabe Herschel, Andy Trupiano, Ryan Vargas, or Andrew Schwartz is able to go to victory lane. And there are a couple of drivers in that group that could very well get it done tonight.
Absolutely. Vargas is one strong driver to watch out for. Aaron Smith had a great run last week, but one guy you need to watch out for is Nate Stewart. He's had 2 bad races to start this round off, and Andrew, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to try to go for all the marbles tonight and try to lock himself into that championship 4.
It's very possible, and I think very likely that you see Nate Stewart race with that bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's already 2nd in qualifying, and, well, the session isn't quite done, but I think showing that he's got a lot of speed. Chase Cabree's on the top of the board. He's been quick through practice. Josh Chin is 4th currently in qualifying. We'll talk more about the whole lineup here shortly, but there is a whole lot going into this race, and really, it's almost a must-win for anybody below the cut line. That is 8 drivers that are in an almost or absolutely must-win scenario. It comes down to the stage. It's only 30 laps long. That is well within a fuel run here, well within a tire run. if Aaron Smith and Josh Chin can just take a few points in that stage, even if other guys take stage points, that just tightens the vice grips that much tighter on the rest of the field and makes it that much more difficult to advance without a win.
Absolutely. You got to get that win tonight. It's go big or go home. Don't let anybody really stand in your way tonight. There's a lot of non-playoff drivers out here that want to play spoiler, but at the same time, you really just got to go for all the marbles, do what you can, and put that car in a position where it can absolutely take that win tonight.
We're coming tonight, the 11th race of 12, October 25th, 2023. Next week, we head out to Homestead Miami Speedway, wrap this whole shebang up, and roll this hot dog stand, as a friend of mine would say. This has been a really, really intriguing season. So much has happened, and it all comes down to next week at Miami. We still don't know exactly who's fighting for a championship. We know two drivers who will be doing so, cars 66 and 98. Here's a look at one of them. Car number 66, Blake Reynolds. I think he's been a lock since day one. It's just a matter of how he was going to get there. Finally got a couple of race wins this season. Did so at Richmond. Did so at, was it Richmond? Hang on, no, it wasn't Richmond. Did so at Michigan, going into so the last race of the regular season, and then again last week at Charlotte. And while he acknowledged last week in the interview that Charlotte and Homestead are very, very different, I feel like this is our one leading driver right now on intermediates.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds has been so strong. We saw him win last week in Charlotte. Actually, that was Blake that won last week in Charlotte, right? I don't necessarily remember since I was nursing a car back to pit road.
It was, and that was a really pivotal moment that, of course, locked him in. Chase Cavery won back at Richmond that put him into this, well, Final Four situation for us next week at Homestead. There you see Chase Cavery in the pit lane. These guys rolling out for their warm-up session. Two drivers already locked in. That, of course, takes out half of the Final Four. So it's just like what we have going on in NASCAR, where this weekend, going into Martinsville, those guys, for the Cup Series at least, have to try and fit whoever into those last two spots of the Final Four. Aaron Smith, Josh Chin, again, on points. They almost look like locks, but if somebody back there is able to put themselves in victory lane that we're not expecting, it becomes a 2-point battle on the cut line. That is going to be oh so interesting between this guy, Aaron Smith, in car number 70, and Joshua Chin in the 93, who was our regular season champion, and I thought certainly by now would have a race win.
It's really surprising to see that he doesn't have a win at all yet. And he's been so strong in so many races. You thought he was going to win Michigan. You thought he could have won Richmond. He has just put on so many amazing performances. But I think the biggest win in his book right now, Andrew, consistency. Look at him. You can see him practicing his pit road entry. Almost hit the commitment cone. But the consistency is on his side right now. And if he keeps it up, puts himself in a good position, I have no doubt in my mind he'll be the driver to point his way in on points tonight. Remember, there's 2 open spots coming into tonight. One person can get a win, and it can be a spoiler. The rest could be going home. You just got to put yourself in a position, and consistency will always win you this race.
You mentioned spoilers. How about a couple of them? Here's one. Matt Kemp back in the series this evening after running some Road to Pro. Matt Kemp in car 54. This is going to be really interesting. He's second in warm-ups. He qualified really well. Was it really, really solid in practice? He could absolutely play spoiler. Of course, Corey Heim has been the spoiler to end all spoilers so far in the playoffs, running up front with the rest of these guys and mixing things up, most particularly at Richmond, but again last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So there's a couple of your spoilers. Even Cosman Yanosho in the top 10 currently in warm-up. He's been quick and is not in these playoffs. As far as guys who are trying desperately to get in, Sean Peleg, car number 17, he's looking pretty solid here in warm-up, 5th quick, at least in this session. Andy Trupiano is 7th, so watch out for the 16 car. And how about Ryan Vargas, Zach? He's trying to defend a championship and do good on his season-opening race win at Daytona, but he is almost last coming into this race in the playoff standings. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, he missed the first round of the playoffs, and it really didn't help him all too much, but Vargas is always strong. He's been one of these drivers to watch out for in these races, and you know, like we were talking about, Andrew, he's got to watch out for those spoilers. Matt Kemp, Cosman Yanosho, Corey Heim, and a big shout out to Corey Heim just re-signing with Tricon Garage earlier this week, and you know, obviously that's got to put him in a better spirit coming into tonight, being second on the board right next to Aaron Smith, who is also looking to have a good run tonight. He's on the outside looking in just like Ryan Vargas is. There's a lot of drivers that Vargas, Smith, they need to contend with, and, you know, Aaron Smith is doing everything he can right now, especially in this warm-up, to put himself in a good spot.
That he is, and I'm just noticing that it looks like we still did not get the Ryan Vargas graphics sorted, so I'm going to try and do that in the background. This has been one, you know, it didn't catch us in the first race of the playoffs because he wasn't in the field. I'm not sure why it hasn't been fixed, but I'll see if I can work on that in the background and get it fixed at some point during this race, kind of breaking the fourth wall for a moment. But let's take a look at our whole starting field briefly. Let's actually take a look at weather. 78.3 degrees in the air, 114 on track. That will be a story throughout the course of this race. Watch those conditions. But down on the grid, Zach, let's roll through our 27, I believe, 28 car field. On pole, Chase Caber, you can already see him fastest in qualifying, car number 98. He will lead us to the green. He has been our short track ace this season, while Nate Stewart has nearly followed him every step of the way. He'll start from second spot. Starting third, Matt Kemp, a wild card tonight. He will roll off just to the inside of Josh Chin, who was our regular season champion. Then you get Blake Reynolds, already locked in. Just go for it tonight. That's car 66's plan, while Ryan Vargas has to get a race win. Corey Heim, he's not in the playoffs. He's a spoiler in this as well. How about Sean Peleg from the 8th position in qualifying? He has got to nearly win. I think he can do it on points if everything aligns, but it would take a lot, while Chris Wetz and Daniel Dye will start from the back end of the top 10.
Yeah, Daniel Dye just getting that last top 10 spot. Andrew Schwartz right behind him. And so is Leighton Sabile, another one of your playoff drivers as well. He needs to get a win tonight to be able to lock himself in. Cosmignano Show, Alex Bates right behind them. And they're already halfway around the track as we're a little bit more than halfway through the field. Ryan Pastana, Jonathan Palmieri, 15th and 16th, rolling off in the 8th row. Or, excuse me. Oh, yeah, that is the 8th row. Andy Trippiano and Manon Rahman, 17th and 18th, and then someone you brought into the league, Andrew, someone you know through Firelight Esports, Cody Erdman in the 19th position, and Gabe Herschel in 20th.
At the back end of the field, 21st, you'll have car number 70, Aaron Smith. He needs to get points and move his way onto the back end of the playoffs to the final four. Jonathan Taylor in 22nd, and we'll just let the rest of this go on. Green flag is in the air from Phoenix International Raceway. We are green in the penultimate race of the season. Side by side up front on the opening lap of the Speed Visions 100, Nate Stewart going for position number 1 on lap number 1. Let's see how this works out. Chase Cabre down low, and lap 1 at Phoenix will belong to car number 4. That's a statement we've said a lot.
Absolutely. Nate Stewart doing everything in his power right now, moving himself in the right direction to point himself in, being the leader off of points. He now points himself in to the championship 4. He just needs to hang on to it as we are only on to lap 2 of this 100 lap event. Stewart, Cabre, Chin, Vargas, and Peleg, your top 5, as you see everybody get single file on that yellow line.
And to get particular about phrasing, of course, that would put Stewart in with the win. That would bump Josh Chin out by points coming into tonight, but Aaron Smith is running 21st, so certainly Aaron would get the bump right now. If you were to count the points that these guys are getting, Josh Chin would go ahead and take that final position in the Final Four next week at Homestead. Things now mixing up for the 3rd position. Ryan Vargas, the inside of Josh Chin. This is going to get fun.
Absolutely. Vargas is going to be able to take over that spot from Chin. And Peleg looks like he's going to try to make a move up the inside. It's not looking like he's there yet. Being patient, following in line. That's smart. Just ride it out right now and see how it goes.
3 laps complete. Up front, the gap about a 10.5 as Chase Cabre runs up on the 4 car into turns 3 and 4. And recall back to what I said towards the open of this broadcast. Whoever is able to roll the top side of the racetrack most efficiently just might have the leg up here today. You can run down around the bottom, but you've really got to baby the throttle. If you can run a little bit higher up on the racetrack, get the car to rotate in the center, you can get a big time run on each of these straightaways, and it's going to be huge. It seems like Cabre is testing the waters up high, at least he did last last lap. Now he goes right back down to that yellow line.
Absolutely. You can see just how much these guys are trying to stay on that yellow line. Look at someone like Corey Heim right back there with Sabile right behind him. They were putting their left front tire on the yellow line. So he's got 3 wide behind going into turn 1.
That's Palmieri along with Pistana and Raman.
Palmieri rocking the Kevin Harvick throwback as they are almost door banging coming off of the corner. You see Aaron Smith right behind them. He needs to get in front of them, get those points. And actually, Andrew, that brings up one thing we haven't talked about tonight. There are still stage points on the line for these drivers.
Right, and you know what? Josh Shin's in a great spot to take stage points and again, tighten those vice grips down. As I mentioned earlier, Aaron Smith absolutely not in that same position, and this might be a short side on his race strategy. He has elected to start from the rear of the field, not taking a qualifying lap, starting 21st. He's only into 20th, and we're already down to 23 laps to go in stage 1, this time around by the flag stand. I don't see the 70 car even making it into the top 10. So for guys like Sean Peleg, Leighton Sabile, that's going to be a ton of points they make up as you caught it, the 44 all over the racetrack ahead.
Yeah, it's Manon Rahman just in front of Jonathan Palmieri, but Palmieri's going to get on by. Aaron Smith right on the back bumper now, and they're still side by side rolling through the dog leg. Palmieri just clear, but Aaron Smith is going to take that run up on the top side. This plays into the point that you were talking about, Andrew. The guys that can roll the top are going to be successful. Watching Aaron Smith on board, you see just how much he's working that wheel. But there's the run on the top, and he's able to get the nose going across the start-finish line.
That's where you have to be strong tonight, the top side of the racetrack. You can roll the bottom single car, that's fine. But in a battle, you've got to be good on the top side. Raman going to spin, no, saves it just out of turn number 2. That will be one of our big trouble spots. Exit of each corner. 2 and 4. That's where things are going to happen. Cars are going to get loose and do exactly that. Up front, race leader Nate Stewart has stepped out by 6.5 tenths over Chase Cabry. This now leaves us a battle for second.
Yeah, but you got to remember, is Nate Stewart burning off the tires a little bit too much with that big of a gap? We know Cabry and Vargas are definitely really good at saving their tires. With Chen right behind them, I think Nate Stewart needs to make sure he minds that gap, manages it. He's got 20 laps to go in the stage, and if he can get those stage points, he puts himself in a great position. But still, you know, having that lead, he locks himself in at the moment.
Sean Peleg inside of Corey Heim. Heim outside of Peleg. That's the fight for the 5th position. Heim not in the playoffs, trying to get into the top 5 again. Play a spoiler to these playoff guys. He's been doing so far in these first couple of rounds of the playoffs. Think back to Richmond, think back to Charlotte last week. He's doing so here again, really being a thorn in the side for the 17 car. And it's interesting as well because isn't the 17 a modified font from that? Yeah, it's the same font as what Tricon runs. So you've got the Tricon fonted 11 going by the Tricon fonted 17 and hurting the Tricon fonted 17 right now in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Still see Matt Kemp on the outside of Sean Peleg right there, rolling that top line. This is keeping Sean Peleg on the bottom, burning up those tires and not keeping him in a good position. He needs to maximize the stage points to put himself in a good position to lock himself into the championship 4. But he's got Sabile and Blake Reynolds right behind him.
This is our first side-by-side in the field. Peleg on the inside still. Kemp outside. Remember, he was so good last season in the Gen 7 car. The next gen hasn't been in the field that I've seen this season, except for maybe the first couple of races. So Matt Kemp, a rarity here in season number 6. Good to see him in the field. And there we go. Kemp he will clear the 17. Here comes Reynolds on the bottom side. He has not been up front like we have come to expect. He's back here in 9th.
Yeah, I assume Blake Reynolds would be up there running up at the front with the rest of these guys. But it's interesting to see him here. He's still inside the top 10. He's got Daniel Dye right behind him. But I think Blake is just taking it easy. He knows he's locked in for next week. Don't push too hard. Don't really worry about the competition. Just run your race and feel it out, and maybe
don't worry, be happy.
Absolutely. Maybe he's got that playing on repeat as he's driving around.
I can only imagine. Maybe we need to get driver cam sorted out and get that, because I'm sure that's what's going on right now for Reynolds. Further back, Chris Wetz, Andrew Schwartz, and Andy Trupiano. 3 playoff drivers who are all racing and realistically need to get a race win tonight. Now, this is semi-promising because they're tagging on to the back end of the top 10 and company, but they are behind a lot of cars that they really need to get past urgently. They need to get points in this stage. Right now, they're not at all in a position to do so. They are 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Well, at least they're running their race, Andrew.
Right, but I mean, if they want to make the Final Four at Homestead, that's just the facts. You know, they've been great this season. They haven't necessarily been Final Four great. I think we're having to realize at this point in time, they need to get by several cars ahead, and it's just not looking likely as we work lap 17 of 30 in stage 1. This is a lightning quick sprint of a stage, and we're starting to see our top 2 come together again. Nate Stewart losing time to Chase Cabry, and that exit there is exactly why he's starting to get free, and the 4 is opening up the time floodgates, if you will, to car 98.
This is what I was talking about, Andrew. He had to manage that gap. He had to be able to look at the bigger picture and see how that car was handling. Don't burn the tires up too quick as Cabry takes a look to the inside. He's at the quarter panel, ripping that yellow line, almost touching coming off the corner. But this is where the top line comes in for defense. But Cabry with a big run. Give that lap to Cabry as he's going to sail on past Nate Stewart and take that lead with Josh Chin moving himself into the 3rd spot.
And that's where things get tough for Nate. Of course, he wants to race for this top position. He knows he wants to end the day in position number 1, but he does not need to win this stage. If he can still take 9 stage points, 8 stage points, something like that, that'll help his total. Again, this is you need to win, not necessarily must win, but you need to win realistically in order to move on if you're Nate Stewart or anybody below that cut line. As long as he sets himself up for the end of this race, that's all that matters right now. And if he's able to sit in behind Chase Cabry, maybe learn a thing or two about saving tires right now, that would help immensely in the run we have coming to the end.
Absolutely. And if you remember, looking back on the points as we come to the end of this stage, Andrew, Nate Stewart is only 13 points out. He's 23 points out. So, doing the math here, with Chris Wetz being behind him, Sabile's behind him by a few positions, Chin and Smith both behind him. If I'm not mistaken, Chris Wetz, Leighton Sabile is in, and Aaron Smith is in tentatively, with Nate Stewart being the first one out looking in, and with these stage points, it'll still put him out, but he'll be closer compared to someone like Josh Chin and Aaron Smith.
Well, Chin is going to take a ton of points right here. Stewart would now be, 16 back from Aaron Smith, would be ahead of Wetz and Sabile both. Maybe, a couple points ahead of Sabile, so he'd be 16 back right now of Aaron Smith. That's a lot to make up without Aaron Smith having some kind of catastrophic issue. Behind these guys, though, Corey Heim. He's into the top 4, goes by Ryan Vargas. It makes it look easy.
It's time, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Heim up into the 4th place position. How about Blake Reynolds, though? He's moving by Sean Peleg right now, trying to see if he can get up there and mess with them. Matt Kemp right behind Ryan Vargas. There's a lot of fights going on throughout the field. It's nice to see how these drivers have managed their tires, saved their stuff, and our regular season points champ, Josh Chin, working on Nate Stewart as we've got lap traffic up ahead.
That's Gabe Herschel in the 07 first to be in the crosshairs, we'll say, of the race leaders as we complete lap 23 of our opening 30 here in stage 1. They're clicking off quick. I have a feeling stage 1 will go quickly like this, Zach, but stage 2 will not be the same. I think desperation is going to start to set in. You're going to see these guys suddenly need to get these positions more than they ever have this season. I don't think it's going to be caution-free at all for stage 2.
I don't think so either. I think these guys are feeling out what they want to do, seeing what they can do in this first stage, using it really as a practice session to test out how the car is going to be, what they can do, how they can push it. You're setting yourself up for, I want to say, about a 2-stop to end this race. Maybe 1 stop if you can stretch this field. As we got Trippiano right up the inside of, I believe that's Daniel Dye. He's not going to get it done, but I don't know, Andrew. I think we've still got a lot of race left to run.
We
physically
do, but
and
we don't have a lot
metaphorically.
of stage left to run, and Trupiano is trying to break into the top 10. That's where Dye currently resides. It's 10th place, and, well, that 16 needs some points. He needs to at least get that one, right, just for morale's sake. Get into the top 10, get a stage point, know that you're chipping away, even if it's relatively insignificant to the hole. You know, it's like filling the hole back in instead of continuing to dig the hole. Does that make sense? Even if it's the thinnest layer of dirt, one scoop of dirt back in the hole is at least going to help you towards your progress of getting out.
Absolutely. Just keep digging yourself out of the hole. Sometimes you don't really put yourself in there, but you have to be able to get yourself out. It's the trials and tribulation of being a race car driver.
Dye here, still trying to defend the 10th position. And Trupiano still trying to take it away. They're in lockstep formation, nothing really changing as Andrew Schwartz looks on from the 12th position. Chris Wetz has fallen back to 14th. Kazman Janusz are moving up, and Aaron Smith into the top 15, but no stage points to be found for position 15. That is severely going to hurt Aaron in case anything happens later on. If he ends up in the wall or something, has some kind of catastrophic issue, he doesn't have extra stage points to rely on when other guys do, i.e. Nate Stewart. So it would be tough for Nate to do it on points, but it's so much more possible if he's able to hang on to this spot. We have 2 miles to go in stage 1 this time by.
Avery has pulled himself out to about what Nate Stewart had at the start of this race. And
here we go.
They're 3 wide. Look at that. Underneath Nate
Wow.
Stewart, Vargas trying to see if he can split the lap car.
That's Josh Chin down there. Ryan Vargas is nowhere near. Josh Chin sent it in turn 1 and made contact, it looks like, with the 4. Hello, Corey Heim. That opened up the floodgates. The 11 car is coming up. Now Chin starting to race with him. 1 lap to go on the stage, this time by.
Yeah, the pace schemes can be a little similar sometimes, but Joshua Chin just trying to hang on to that car. But there is Vargas right behind Chin. Blake Reynolds right behind him. Might go for a crossover move. They're all staying in line as we wrap around the back straightaway, heading towards that green and white checkered flag.
Reynolds working on Vargas. That's relatively insignificant just because Vargas needs to win. So I think Ryan can let that spot go. Of course, he'd like to keep it. While out of turn number 4, stage winner, Chase Cavery, car 98. Everybody else comes across the line. We'll get an official word here in a second. It looks like it's going to all hold steady. Cavery, Stewart, Heim, your top 3. Then I think it was Shin, Vargas, Reynolds, and it will be. Then Peleg grabs himself a few points. Matt Kemp in 8th, Leighton Sabile up into the 9th position, and Andy Trupiano got that 10th position after all. Again, it's a thin layer of dirt, but it's a start.
Unfortunately for certain drivers like Aaron Smith, fell about 5 positions short trying to get in for the stage points. But I expect all these drivers down pit road, 4 fresh Goodyear tires, a full load of Sunoco race fuel, and back on this racetrack. But this is where a lot of things are going to come into play. These pit stops, do we see drivers kind of gamble a little bit, maybe take 2 tires, or I think best way to go, 4 tires and fuel.
We'll have to see what each of these drivers opts for. I mean, I would agree. I think you certainly have to do 4 tires and fuel. I don't think there's any other real option, as Chase Cavery will lead us down. And we will begin our first pit cycle of the day. Now, there is still 1 pit cycle left to go, even after this. They will have to come in at some point during stage 2, whether it is under green or caution. That is up to how the race plays out. But here we go. Chase Cavery leads us in.
Stewart right on that back bumper, not letting Cavery get any ground on him on pit road. As we see Heim making his way into the box, all the way down. Hard braking. See those drivers go up on the jack, and Andrew, this is where the race gets dicey. Race off pit road.
That it will. Cavery, of course, has the leg up, waiting to see exactly how this sorts out. Corey Heim might get him all. Wow, that was huge from the 11 car. It's going to be close. We'll find out.
No, it was Cavery.
Wow. I'm not sure how Corey Heim did that. But Corey Heim will jump ahead of the 4 car, and again, this guy is a thorn in these guys' sides. They don't want to have to deal with the regular season NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, and of course, Final Four contender here in a couple of weeks at Phoenix. But they're going to have to. He's going to restart second place here to begin stage number 2. That is a big, big deal.
Absolutely. First starting spot, going to fire off easily going down into turn 1. And Nate Stewart didn't lose any ground per se. He would have started on the top, but at the same time, he's going to be able to fire off with the leader. And it's going to play to his benefit to an extent, really. He'll be able to sit on that back bumper of Cabri, watch him as he launches off, but at the same time, that outside line, Andrew, is very, very powerful at this track.
While these guys get set and ready to go for stage number 2, we'll be right back after a quick Pit Stop TV's side-by-side break.
If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club.
Stage number 2 underway as we cross under the flag stand. The UFL Elite Series back in action at the Speed Visions 100. And what a restart from Chase Cabri. Corey Heim going to stick to him like glue. Everybody else fights to turn 3.
Side by side behind Vargas and Dye. Kemp right in front of them, but look at Vargas taking advantage of that bottom line speed. New tires playing into his favor. Peleg right behind him, but the top 5 is single file as Vargas looks to clear Daniel Dye going down to turn 1. He will get it done. Oh no, Daniel Dye is fighting back on the top, side by side for that 6th spot. And they're wrecking, coming off of turn 2, Andrew.
Manon Rahman in trouble. Caution number 1 for cause will come out, and car 44 is in trouble. It looks like Justin Melillo at least came to a slow to miss it. Walker Skeeter will be involved in the 23 car. Was Doug DeNice a part? I think he gets by. He might have been a part of it because he's passing some cars now to get back to his spot. See Corey Erdman there in the CC's Business Chevrolet. We'll take a look. So here's a look at Doug DeNice following Corey Erdman in the 52 car. Manon Rahman just behind. Does Manon get into DeNice in turn 1? 100%. That's exactly what happens.
And then they just all get collected there. And very quick miss back there. I'm not sure who that was.
So a look back from the 44's perspective. This is Manon Rahman on board. Adam Cole on the outside. You see Doug DeNice just ahead in the Silver Bullet. Manon sends it in, just gets tight, washes up. And there goes the 40, and they all kind of spin around. The 07 of Herschel goes through, and look at Justin Melillo thread the needle between the 44 and the outside wall.
Absolutely amazing. Heads-up driving there by Justin Melillo. So we see cars heading back down pit road, and well, Andrew, you called it. This race was not going to be caution-free heading into stage 2, and we've already got our first yellow of the race. That was not a stage caution.
Yeah, that's a big deal for some of these guys. I do want to be, so, you know, Zach, we took that side-by-side break in the last caution to try and fix the graphic for Ryan Vargas. I didn't update the right folder. We're working on it. I promise it is a work in progress, trying to get that to appear correctly, because it will be a big deal here towards the end of this race with how he's running. In other words, he's running well. We're trying to get that to appear the right way, because Ryan is up here where he should be, and he's a few spots shy of the race win right now. We'll say that. But he's in a really good spot, I think, for the direction this race is going. There you see the number 26. Just trying to control his own fate. That's difficult in racing, especially here on iRacing.com. So many things can go so many different ways.
Absolutely. There's so many different variables when it comes to the iRacing sim that can totally affect your race. And, you know, as these drivers double up, Andrew, I think that we're going to see a lot more aggressive driving out of Vargas.
Yeah, the critical path security number 26 Chevrolet, of course, got the season started on a high note. Won at Daytona. And since then, it's been kind of a struggle, in all honesty. It really has. Not able to get the season he's wanted. He's had flashes in the pan, flashes of brilliance. It just hasn't been what he's needed to back up his championship from a season ago when he won it all at Charlotte Motor Speedway over guys like Matt Kemp and Zach Nichols. Kemp back in this race. Again, very, very surprisingly, as everybody comes around, and I think we'll take the 1-to-go signal. How about the fact, Zach, that we are still outside of our fuel window? These leaders will still have to pit again at some point. I think Zach tending to something there on his side, but again, these guys will have to pit still at some point in this race. They are not good to the end on fuel. The fuel window we were given was about, well, of course it's not there because it was reloaded. 40 to 45 laps. Let's get that typed in. 40 to 45. There we go. And that'll update nicely thanks to technology. 40 to 45 laps. So these guys can pit anywhere from about lap 55 and be good to go to the end. That's still in 15 laps or so. And they can even pit a little bit earlier if they want to stretch it in a green flag run. I don't think they'll do that. If anything, they'll stretch it on the far side and try to get closer to the end and wait out a caution out front. We'll see what they all elect, there we go, to do as we come to the restart zone one more time. Green flag back in the air in the Speed Visions 100. In a big restart, Vargas was looking down low at Kemp. He falls back in line. Side by side, though, Chin and Stewart at third.
Stewart's going to try to fall in line, but it looks like Daniel Dye is going to get down to the bottom. Stewart right next to Josh Chin. He's going to go way up the racetrack, be able to hold on to that race car. Sean Peleg right behind him. A little bit of a wiggle off the corner, but it looks like these drivers are still going to fight it out. Josh Chin to the inside of Corey Heim. And there are fights all throughout this racetrack.
And Nate Stewart going to fall back and look to the inside now of Daniel Dye down the backstretch. So he's kind of accepting that he's going to drop into fifth and does so there ahead of Sean Peleg. He's on damage control right now. And Josh Chin is working on the 11 car of Corey Heim. Realistically, I don't think you're able to work on Corey Heim. I think it's Chase Cabry and Heim out to lunch at this point. But Chin's going to give it a shot. And if it works this way, Zach, if nothing changes, that is best case scenario for both the 70 and 93. If an existing driver in the Final Four wins, or a driver outside of the playoff wins, i.e. either of the top two.
Absolutely. Nate Stewart needs to be able to get himself up there, put himself in a beneficial spot, maximize the points. That's all you can do. If you can't win, maximize these points. Aaron Smith got no stage points. He's still fighting on the cusp of the top 10, being able to point himself in. So Nate Stewart has everything working in his favor right now. He just needs that track position.
There you see Ryan Vargas' number finally with white, signifying that he is a playoff driver. So finally we got it with about half of this final race of the playoffs, round one to go. But if Vargas is able to advance, boy, that's going to be something big. He gets loose. Here comes Trupiano down low. This is for 7th position into turn one. Trupiano going to take it away for a moment. Side by side, they remain out of turn number two.
Trupiano has been absolutely coming to life in these playoffs. He was lights out at Richmond. Hopefully, he could have gone for the win at Richmond, but some unfortunate circumstances took him out. He was trying all he could last week at Charlotte. It didn't quite play in his favor, but now He's here once again, trying to fight for it. Ryan Vargas on his outside. This is once again for the 7th spot, and he still can't quite get it done. Vargas powering on that outside line, and Chris Whetstone, oh, Vargas in the wall.
The 26 car grabbing the fence out of turn number 2. These steel bodies, though, they're pretty resilient, and it looks like his bends back out, or at least holds its shape. I don't see too much damage there on the right side, if any. So the critical path security Chevrolet continues on. Now Chris Wett's looking to his inside. This would be for 8th position, but Ryan drops down to the bottom of the racetrack, shuts that door, as now Wetz has to deal with Blake Reynolds. And Wetz gets loose out of turn 2, lets the 66 go on by. Here comes Matt Kemp, here comes Aaron Smith. And Aaron is way back here. I think he would still point in right now over Nate Stewart, but boy, it'd be a lot closer than it should be.
He needs to keep pushing forward, get any of those points that he can. No stage points really hurts him. You had Josh Chin and Nate Stewart both pick up at least more than 7 stage points. So that really helps their grand total, and it drops Aaron Smith just a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Josh Chin becomes the 3rd seed, and actually, that would put Aaron Smith, I think, what, maybe 10 points?
16 was the number. 16 was the number. So, after stage 1, 16 is the gap between the 70 and the 4. Right now, Nate is pulling another 8 positions on him or so, 6 positions, something like that. So it becomes about a 10-point deficit from here. If Nate can make up 5, and if Aaron were to drop 5, they would come out about even. That would put Nate, what, 2nd place? I don't know. That's all going to work out as he needs it to, but it's becoming a lot closer than he needs it to be. And as we eclipse halfway, if anything happens to this 70, he's in a jeopardized position that, again, we did not expect, and realistically, we never really, he shouldn't be in, realistically. He should have been in the stage points. I'm not sure the decision to start from 21st was a good one.
Well, he's got Sabile right on his tails with Chris Wetz inside, just trying to work for whatever positions he can get right now. He's utilizing that outside line well as he gets a good run here. Pull the nose on Wetz and should easily sail himself into the 11th position. It's really easy to bring it back on that inside line through 1 and 2 and get a good run, especially having that inside for the kink and the dog leg. But it looks like Aaron Smith is going to take advantage, roll that top, and put himself up into the 11th position, going after Matt Kemp for 10th.
And Wetz is starting to falter. He falls back to the 25 car of Sabile. Here comes Schwartz as well. And they're going to swallow up that 71 car, it looks like, and spit him out into the 14th position for Jonathan Taylor. Further forward, how about everything happening with the race leaders? Cabry still over Heim, then Chin in the 3rd spot. Daniel Dye making one of his rare starts this season in the 4th position, really holding his own. And Sean Peleg there in the 5th spot. This is a big-time run for Sean, and one that I think has been kind of understated so far. We talked a little bit about it there in stage 1. From 8th to 5th right now, picking up all that he can. I mean, again, it's not going to put him in the final 4 based on points, but it's making it closer in case something happens to either the 93 or the 70. And realistically, his only hope, I think, is for something to happen to the 70 car.
When halfway through this race, Andrew, you got to find any window you can, any advantage you can take, even some luck. Luck is always helpful on the racetrack. As they say in sports, it's better to be lucky than to be good, and sometimes that luck needs to be on your side. Look at this, everyone, single file going through the field. Not a lot of fighting going on. I say that as Vargas was looking to the inside of Blake Reynolds. Not there yet, but these drivers, long way to go in this Phoenix race here.
Love these shots through the entire field as they work back onto the front stretch, and we've got ourselves a fight for the race lead. It looks like Corey Heim working on his teammate Chase Cabry. How aggressive does he get here, knowing that they are both under the EPI and Hog Tamers banner? Well, Cabry lets him go. This now puts Cabry in jeopardy here of the 93 car of Josh Chin. That said, if Heim stays out in the front like this, it really doesn't change much for any of these 3 drivers. Cabry still goes to the final 4. Chin would still be in. Heim, of course, is doing his own thing outside of the playoffs. Not much is changing there, even with Dye in the 4th spot from the Hog Tamers group. Again, nothing really changing. They're kind of that roadblock out front as Dye blocks a little bit on Peleg, who looks to the inside for 4th spot.
Yeah, Peleg is one of those drivers that needs to win tonight to point himself into the playoffs.
I'm not sure how long a playoff driver will deal with being blocked by a non-playoff driver. Dye is doing his deal. He's trying to race for spots, but I just don't think Sean's going to put up with that for long.
I don't think so either. If I were Sean, regardless of who you are, I don't care if you are Jeff Gordon himself.
Oh.
Move out of my way.
Hello.
I'm going for a championship spot, but Nate Stewart is tired of waiting around as well. Contact as Stewart gets loose coming off of the corner, but he's going to stay in it, try to get in there, but here comes Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, that might have been an inopportune time, I'd say, from Nate. It's difficult because you don't want to tell a race car driver they have to be patient, but I think that's a moment where it would have benefited him to stay patient. But he was patient, of course, for however many laps before that, and oh man, Peleg cuts down across the nose of the 4 as he races with the 46, gets into Daniel Dye at a turn 2, they're stacking up again.
It might go 3 wide here as Blake Reynolds has gotten to the outside. It's going to be dicey. Andrew Trippiano now coming into the mix as Peleg is looking underneath Daniel Dye, but no dice. Dye holds that yellow line. Blake Reynolds all the way around the top. He might get 3 cars here and take it.
Whoa!
Oh, Peleg.
I think Peleg might have made contact with the 66 there. This is 4th through 8th positions. Peleg now drops back and kind of parks it in 1 and 2. Drops to the 6th spot as now the 4 will drop to 7th. And the 16, well, actually moves around to the 4 car briefly and is going to, at least for the moment, nose ahead into the 7th spot. Nate Stewart down to 8th. And now Blake Reynolds tries his attempt here at the 46 car, Daniel Dye. Stewart getting tight in 3 and 4. There is a lot going on here in the middle of the top 10.
Guys are not holding back right now. Sean Peleg and Nate a little reserve is Daniel Dye. My goodness.
Reynolds nearly got into him. He sent it there in 1. 40 to go the last time by. And we are in that pit window.
The question is, do you decide to short pit, take it now, be on the fresher rubber, and try to get as big of a gap as you can, or ride it out, do what you need to do, get the track position now, and then take the tires later to set yourself up for the run at the end.
Chris Wetz is going to take the short pit. He comes into the pit lane.
Honestly, not the move I would make, but if you're Chris Wetz,
got to try something.
Got to make sure you can do whatever you can to upset these leaders. Try something. Pull a rabbit out of the hat. Do whatever you can. Switch it up. Do what puts you up front, as these drivers are all sideways coming off the corner. And Aaron Smith just moved by Leighton Sabile.
Whether it comes down to the racing line of the racetrack as Truppiano nearly gets into Stewart, whether it's the line on the racetrack or the strategy through the course of the race, you'll never beat somebody by following them. You've got to try to do something different in order to get ahead of them. And, Peleg and Dye racing here for the 5th position. Chris Wetz is taking his chance. He's short pitting here. We'll see. We'll monitor the 71 and this whole pit strategy and see how it works out for him. He should at least cycle a little ways forward and make up some time on these guys. And now Peleg briefly into the door there on the 46. We just can't leave these two.
Doesn't seem like Daniel Dye wants to give up his track position. He wants to make a statement. Driver hasn't been here really most of the season. Wants to show these guys.
Here comes Truppiano.
Oh boy. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Vargas and Sabile right behind him, but Truppiano holding onto that car, trying to make sure he does not get a speeding penalty. I'd put 4 tires on that car.
Dye and Peleg still racing. I think if you're Sean Peleg, you might want to pit here. Just get away from the 46. Go ahead and take that short pit. He has burnt his tires up and now is backing up to Nate Stewart one more time. Let's see what they do down here in 3 and 4. Does Dye maybe pit early? Stewart's going to pit. That's important. Here comes the 4 car.
And he's going to pull one more car behind him. Actually, who was that? That was Taylor. I thought he missed the pit lane there. That was very, very close.
There's Nate Stewart coming in for service.
Does he have damage?
Yes, that was from when Chin got into him in the door. Up front, Hyman Cabry, Chin, Reynolds, Dye. That's how the running order stays. When does Peleg pit? Is he going to short pit to try and get by the 46? Now you see Kemp making up time since there's nobody in front of him. And look at the hands work in the 17.
Aaron Smith has worked his way up into the 8th position as well from all those pit stops. And I don't know, the longer you stay behind Daniel Dye, the more time you lose, as Dye has burned up his stuff a lot more than these drivers have. Peleg needs to make something happen, and he needs to do it now. He is definitely a lot faster than this 46. All these drivers behind him are reeling him in because he's not able to make those moves. So do whatever you can to get around him and do it quick.
Just continue to watch these white gloves on Peleg. They are moving around a bunch, and I love when drivers, real and virtual, use bright colored gloves, white, bright yellow, things you can see through the windshield, even in the shade. You can see it here on the 17. He is sawing at the bit, especially out of turn 4. Watch it this time when he exits the corner. If he stays on the racetrack, he is fighting, sawing, just trying to hang on to the car. Watch it here. Watch those white gloves moving around. I just love that.
And I just heard over the radio, Aaron Smith, I believe, just took it to pit road.
There he is. Into the pit lane. As far as drivers who have pitted, the top so far is Trupiano, back here in 19th position. He's in front of Chris Wetz. Then it's Vargas, Sabile, Stewart all racing. Jonathan Taylor in the 24th position. But as far as our playoff guys, they're all in a row as they work by Andrew Schwartz. Vargas working on Wetz. And here come the leaders. Cabry's in, Heim is in.
And here comes the strategy switch up. Chin and Reynolds and Dye stay out on the racetrack. Nate Stewart goes purple. That's going to be detrimental to these guys up here, Heim and Cabry, as they make their way into the box. Denice, Pistana, Hagenstein, Palmieri, all up inside the top 10 right now, as we hear more drivers coming over the radio saying that they are going to be taking to pit road. I expect to see Peleg this time.
Here's Cabry's stop. It'll be 4 tires, as you'd expect. 30 laps to go. And it goes off without a hitch, it looks like. Heim is going to beat him out, so Heim will take back over. Josh Chin stays in the racetrack. I think he's going to try to go long, hope for a yellow. Sean Peleg comes in, and this is oh so important. He's been our top non-Final Four driver coming into this race here through this stage. Let's see what he does. Or how he does, I should say.
Out. Everyone's going 4 tires right now. Set yourself up for the end. You've got about 30 laps. You've got enough fuel for there's a green-white checkered. Just put yourself in a good situation and
out and away.
Out and away goes Sean Peleg. Nate Stewart, or not, excuse me, Aaron Smith is going to jump him.
Yeah.
Get in front.
Staying out is really going to hurt these guys early. So Peleg is going to sort out into 20th for now with most of the field cycled through. The leader right now of cars who have pitted is going to be Andy Trupiano still. Blake Reynolds in the pit lane here in the 66 car. There's Adam Kodal. Daniel Dye is also in the pit lane. There goes the rest of the field that has pitted, led by Andy Trupiano. And they're on Josh Chin, the race leader.
Everyone else behind him has not pitted yet. Trupiano, the first one on tires. It's Schwartz, Palmieri, Pastana, Denice, Herschel, and Malillo.
Oh, Vargas bunching up. Wow. So, okay, this is the group of everybody on new tires. Tristan Hagenstein is in the pit lane of the blown motor, and Corey Heim sends it on Ryan Vargas.
All these drivers bunched up, trying to get themselves back on the lead lap. Peleg goes purple right there. This is shaping up to be one interesting run to the checkered, Andrew.
Trupiano has got to defend over the 11 car with everything he's got. Do I think he'll hold Corey Heim back? No. But he's got to try here. Try to slow him down, get somebody back up to him, try to maybe prompt a fight with somebody else, as Trupiano is still leading the charge for drivers who have pitted, as Palmieri pits that time. Still, you have a group of 6 who have stayed out front, and here comes Corey Heim. This will effectively cycle him back into the race lead, as Chin, Schwartz, Pistana, Herschel, Malillo, and Denice have yet to pit. Now Denice works into the pit lane. Your top 5 still have not. 25 to go, by the way, this time by for Chin, as he's way back here behind these guys. There is 25 to go.
Just trying to put yourself in any position you can to set yourself up for a run of the checkers. I don't know, Andrew. I don't know how well this is going to play out for these drivers. Trupiano, 4/10 behind Corey Heim on, I want to say, about 2 to 3 lap older tires now. So if he can save
5 lap different.
Heim, my goodness. He needs to pass Corey Heim effectively. Corey Heim would be the race leader. And it looks like Cabry is going to try to find his way to move forward, as he is right next to Nate Stewart, working on him, clearing, taking the spot away.
Quite frankly, the 11 and the 98 are just too good right now. And it's going to thwart the rest of the field. there's not a whole lot you can do when you've got Corey Heim on these kinds of rails, just performing at this kind of level. As Vargas looks to the inside of Trupiano here, and this is a good fight. I think it's all in a little bit of vain. Corey Heim is gone, and that's the win these guys need.
Yeah, Nate Stewart is not looking like he's going to be in a good spot.
Vargas caught the fence there into 3.
Oh boy. Cabri, Sabile, Stewart trying to see if they can capitalize. Cabri will. He's going to move on by. Looking on Trupiano now. See the rest of the drivers back there fighting, seeing what they can do. Nate Stewart right on the back bumper of Leighton Sabile as Vargas is getting real squirrely, and Josh Chin has finally made his way down pit road. But how will this affect him? How is the strategy going to work out?
That was his Hail Mary to try and get a win and make it simple. He comes into his box here right at the end of pit lane, just got to it. That was his Hail Mary as far as strategy. He's going to drop deep in this field. So again, if something happens, Aaron Smith and Josh Chin have not helped themselves much tonight. I don't think they're going to lose anything necessarily, but they really have not helped themselves a whole lot. I do want to give a quick shout out to somebody in the frame, Corey Erdman, in his first start in the series. He'll be racing here at Phoenix again next week at Homestead. This week in the CC's Business Chevrolet, a car you piloted last week at Charlotte. And Cody has kept all the panels clean. This is all you can ask for from a driver in their first start. Just go out there, keep the car clean. Doing a good job.
A lot better than I did last week. Just couldn't get the setup right. Couldn't really drive the car the way I wanted to. And I'm glad to see that CC's Business car is sitting comfortably inside the top 20.
And inside of 20 laps to go now. Andrew Schwartz, the race leader, he has stayed out along with Herschel and Melillo. Schwartz is on 48 laps. Here he comes. Yeah, I was just going to say, it can't last much longer for the 67. He was making a Hail Mary to try and get a win. It's not going to work out for him. Herschel still on the racetrack. When does he come in? Not this lap. The dream is still alive. He is still in the playoffs. He is way down the order, but if he's able to grab a win, he would go and fight for a championship next week at Homestead. He is still alive. This is his send, his Hail Mary, his Aaron Rodgers with 4 seconds to go.
4 seconds to go?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Hail Mary, down the field.
I don't watch a lot of football. I'm primarily racing.
Well, Gabe Herschel is trying it. If we get a caution here, it would severely benefit the 07 in a good way. But Corey Heim is starting to run him down.
In a reference that I can understand, this is his...
Oh! Hello! Peleg, Stewart,
Peleg.
And Sabile with Smith right behind. This, I don't think this ends well. Oh!
Peleg very loose. Josh Chin goes purple that lap, but he is all the way down in 17th.
Whoa!
Oh, Leighton Sabile!
Stewart sent the 25. Frustration, and Sabile comes down and nearly right rears Kemp in the 54.
I don't know how well that's going to boil over. Nate Stewart definitely in crunch mode with just over 15 laps to go.
That was that. I think that's frustration boiling over. He's seeing the writing on the wall, got frustrated by something there from the 25. Let's go back and see why. This is a bit of context here. Interesting. So Peleg is coming up in the 17. And it's all going to be here, the 25 and the... I'm confused. We're going to watch. I wonder if the 25 and the 4 made contact out of 2, maybe? Or if Nate was frustrated there out of 4? Peleg comes up on the inside. That's what opened the door. And Nate kind of ran him up in 1. There must have been a lot going into this fight as Gabe Herschel has now pitted. Nate gets into Peleg there trying to give Sabile room up top. And then right down here in turn 3. I mean, he wasn't on the gas, he was on the brakes, but he sent it there into the corner big time.
Maybe Sabile was just trying to roll the corner a little bit more, hold on to the tires. I don't want to say that there was major intent there, but at the same time, I don't want to say it was fully an accident.
The cream rises to the top late in these races. You've got your two that are locked into next week's finale, running second and third behind your Truck Series regular season champion. I mean, this is how you would expect it, right? You've got the best driver maybe in the field leading. Your top two in the championship right now, second and third, and then everybody else trying to find whatever they can, pick up the pieces behind them. Trupiano, Peleg, Smith, Vargas, everybody just trying to get spots, and now the 70 and 26 are side by side.
Place your bets, Andrew. Late race caution, or do we run this thing all the way out to the green?
Ooh, I'm not taking that bet. I really am not. With the frustration we're starting to see from some of these drivers, season-long frustration, I'm not taking that bet. Here comes Josh Chin, though, and Gabe Herschel as well. New tires doing wonders for them. Chin is going to work into 11th. Gets by Chris Wetz. He's got about 2 seconds up to Daniel Dye, then Nate Stewart. So Josh is going to be fine. Aaron's going to be fine. Unless something drastic happens in these closing laps, nothing's going to change for a Final Four.
Well, I will say for certain, Josh Chin is moving forward at an exponential rate. He's about a 10th of a lap faster per lap than Corey Heim is right now. Now, that's also including the fact that he's getting a little held up fighting through the traffic.
Call it a half second. Last lap was 4/10.
On the racetrack.
Daniel Dye.
Oh my goodness! Turn this race on its head, Andrew.
Daniel Dye in turns 1 and 2. He was racing with Nate Stewart. If this is what I think it is, well, we'll watch. Watch here for turn 1. Out of turn 4. Just let's take a look. Watch from the camera. Dye to the inside here. Nate Stewart in the 4 car. I'm not sure what you're trying to gain there.
Well, I will also say there is some heated messages going on right now between the drivers over the radio from this incident.
I would expect as such. I mean, you have Stewart getting into Seville, and Dye are teammates. Let's just look at the situation for what it is. I don't know what Daniel's going for here on a playoff driver in his 1 start or 2nd start of the season. Sends it like that, comes across his nose, driver's side on the fence. Nothing against Daniel Dye. I personally don't see the benefit to sending it there. And now you see the result. You're hard into the outside wall, and you're probably done for the day.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there's a meatball flag right there, and
big hit.
Just pancakes it right there on that left side, and that's going to end Daniel Dye's. It may not end his night, but it's going to end his contention at running for this win. As you know, this shakes up a lot of things. We see Cabri and Peleg on pit road. 2
tires for Cabri and Peleg. Schwartz will stay out and be your race leader with working on 8, then 7 to go. Might restart with 6. There's Reynolds, there's Trupiano, Kemp, Smith, Vargas. Where's the 4 car?
Oh no. That's not what you want to see.
Nate Stewart is still in the pit lane. Is there anything from race control, or is this damage repair?
I believe it's damage because Nate does not have anything listed for a black flag. He doesn't have anything listed as a penalty. It might be a penalty that we can't see. The only penalties that we are unable to see would be, you know, speeding on pit road or tail end of the longest line.
Unsafe entry.
Passing under yellow, unsafe entry, unsafe exit. Those are the only things we can't see.
I think that was damage.
I would believe so. But that's going to drop him well down the running order into the 22nd position. Oh, my goodness.
Meanwhile, hello, the Canadian. Andrew Schwartz is going to stay out and take a chance. He's taking a chance on himself. He was most recently in pit lane, one of the most recent drivers to pit, aside from Gabe Herschel and Justin Melillo. I mean, he was only in pit lane 10 laps ago. This is not a bad opportunity here for Andrew. Stay out, try and get a good restart, hang on, get some yellows. This is a good move, I think, from the 67, given the situation. He was going to be way, way back there, tail end of the lead lap. He's taking a chance on himself, trying to get something here and get into the Final Four next week at Homestead.
That's great for him. He's a playoff driver, and that pushes, actually, that would push Josh Chin out. Aaron Smith still actually.
No. Chin's got the stage points.
That is true. Chin has the stage points. That would push Aaron Smith out then.
Yep, as they run. I don't think they finish as they run. You got Schwartz leading old tires. You've got Cabri and Pelling on 2, which has worked in this car.
And he picked the outside lane, ladies and gentlemen. That's the first time we've seen that tonight.
Haim is restarting 4th on 4. Reynolds on 4. Trupiano on 4. He's 6th. Kemp back there in 7th. Smith in 8th. Oh boy, this is going to be definitely a fun restart as our race leaders exit turn 4. If you want to make bets, go for it. I'm not. 6 laps to go. Let's see what happens. Andrew Schwartz with the restart, and he's going to try and clear the 98. He will.
This is exactly what he needs, Andrew. A good restart, get that gap going. Now hang on to it. 6 laps to go. Andrew Schwartz in front.
He's hoping for some yellows, hoping for some crashing in the back. We've got one car slow. It's Palmieri. No caution yet. That's not going to go well for the 3 car.
He's off the track, though. He stay green.
Out of turn 4, here comes Chase Cabri, quickly going to pull up on the 67. He's not there yet. Pelleg and Haim side by side. Pelleg on 2, Haim on 4. 5 laps to go at Phoenix.
Aaron Smith is looking out his windshield, hoping, praying that one of these cars gets past Andrew Schwartz, but he is blocking for his life, blocking to get himself inside the championship 4 for a run at this championship. Cabri on the back bumper, right on that bumper as Haim gets around Pelleg. Pelleg loose, coming to the line. Cabri inside.
Yeah, how hard is Chase going to run him here, knowing that he's already in the final 4? Schwartz is trying to make it. He's trying for sure. 4 laps to go. Schwartz still hanging on. I thought we had some smoke, but here go both of the Hog Tamers out front. They're going to make it 3 wide on Schwartz. No mercy shown to car 67. He falls into 3rd. Hope is not lost yet, but here comes Pelleg. 3 laps to go, this time by in the Speed Visions 100.
That puts Aaron Smith back in as they run. Oh, caution on the racetrack.
Yellow flag from Manon Rahman in the back. That's in turns 3 and 4. And there's Palmieri.
And if your name is Andrew Schwartz, you wanted to see that caution flag a lap ago.
I think he'll take it. Let's try and find what happened to the 3 car. Loose on his own, hard in the outside wall.
My goodness.
That was just a brief look. Now let's go find what happened to the 44 of Manon Rahman, if we can. This is a lap prior, racing back here with Erdman in the CC's Business Chevrolet. Hopefully he wasn't involved. Oh, Cody did get in deep there. Nate tagged the back end of that 52 car. Let's see what happens out here in turn 3. Stewart on the back end of the 44. Pistana gets into Nate and moves the 4 up into the 44.
Just an unfortunate set of circumstances there for these drivers.
And Zach, we know how race car drivers work with their teams and how... oh, hang on. There might be some context we need to get here for 3. Hang on just a moment. I saw the 4 go wide. Okay, he's just racing here. This is Nate Stewart into another Hog Tamer, but it's not at all anything Nate Stewart did. He got bumped by the 43 of Ryan Pistana. However, are they going to get that message? You know, it's just like in real NASCAR racing. Is the spotter going to relay that? This is a little bit different, but the same kind of logic applies, right? If they don't know, they don't know. They know that Nate got into the 44 car. It's a Hog Tamer. Is that going to go well? I don't know, but Pistana definitely moved Stewart up the racetrack for that. It was brief contact, but it was contact.
Yeah, but I don't think any of these drivers will let their opinion of Nate Stewart at the moment go any less to the good end of the spectrum.
By the way, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's been a few messages on the radio chatter that have not really been in the favor of Nate Stewart.
Frustrations are spilling out. I said the track layout here with the grass makes it more like an intermediate. It still races like a short track on days like today. Your top two, a couple of hog tamers out front. Chase Cabry, Corey Heim. Andrew Schwartz is going to restart from third. It's a long shot here since he's restarting from third and not from first anymore, but he's still up front. He's still got a chance. You know, if something happens somehow to those top two, if he's able to do something with them, he's still in it to try and make the Final Four. Peleg is up here. Trupiano's up here. These guys are all still alive. Given the points deficit, we can bring it up. It's grasping at straws somewhat, but they're grasping to whatever straws they can and trying to get that win. Realistically, they have to get that win. Schwartz needs it. Vargas needs it. Trupiano, Herschel, Peleg, Stewart, they all need to get a race win.
It's still anybody's race, Andrew. I've been saying it, place your bets. Watch these guys as they take each other on. It's no holds racing right now for 2 laps. First attempt at a green-white checkered.
This is one very, very interesting situation. Again, Blake Reynolds, Chase Cabry, they are locked in. They're the only two. Aaron Smith, a points deficit now by, I'd say, about 4, maybe 6. To Josh Chin by stage points. Currently, though, Smith has a couple of spots on Josh Chin as they run and will restart. We're going to go into UFL overtime. The whole field trying to clean off their tires. Trying to find some kind of grip for a last-ditch effort if you're Sean Peleg, Andy Trupiano, Andrew Schwartz. Those three, third, fourth, and fifth, they all need to win this race. The top two, they don't. Does desperation set in, Zach? Do we see some short track racing?
Short track racing? On an intermediate? I mean,
Well,
how flat it is, I think so.
It drives like a short track. It really does. And we're seeing those short track tempers flare up. It'll be green-white checkered. First attempt at it. We've got 3 in the bank. Down into the restart zone. Green flag is out. Cabry launches, and Peleg spins the tires.
Big problem there for Peleg with the tire spin. He needs to get up there and get going. And the caution is out on the racetrack.
Yellow flag. And Pistana is involved. Erdman is involved. Stewart is involved. Dye is involved.
Oh. And
Daniel Dye, that
Stewart.
doesn't belong here, buddy. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Disconnect.
Fortunately, Cody Erdman got caught up in that as well, the CC's business car.
Hang on. Let's watch the replay because Stewart starts behind Dye. We know the frustrations are there. What happens in turn 1?
Stewart on the back bumper, and, well, it looks like he just
Ships
runs right
him.
into the back.
Yeah. Both these guys. It just doesn't belong here. It really doesn't. John Palmieri, Tristan Hagenstein, everybody behind the league, Matt Wishart, Eric Webler, they put too much into this league for this kind of thing.
Driving backwards on the racetrack is a big no-no in my book. Unless you're doing victory burnouts and that Polish victory lap, big no-no. Riding, once again, one more look here at the replay. This is coming to the green flag. And I've just received word Nate Stewart has been parked for the remainder of this race, for this action on the racetrack.
Drives through the 46. Sends Pistana, Erdman, Sabile into the fence. Just doesn't belong here. There is so much hard work put in. Too much for it to become WWE on the racetrack. It really is. And I hate this for everybody who gets involved. It's just unnecessary for guys like Erdman in his first start, Pistana just trying to get home. I don't know what was being said to provoke it. I'm sure there's more to the story, but that's just not needed here.
As someone who regularly races, whether it be on the sim or in real life, I do my best to remain impartial when it comes to situations like this, but I really do need to agree with Andrew on this one. It just does not belong anywhere. Not on a real racetrack, not in the sim, nowhere. That type of attitude just doesn't make any of this fun for anybody. As we take a look here, Cody Erdman, who had the Pit Stop TV provisional tonight on pit road, and there's Jonathan Palmieri with that front end still torn off that race car. And it looks like that toe is very much knocked out.
Yeah.
That right tire.
I don't know how John managed that. I'm impressed. I really am. I don't know how you do that to a race car. Oh, man. Is that from the turn one? When he got loose, overcorrect?
I think so.
What's it like in the car?
Say, though, so, for those who don't know, when it comes to the iRacing sim with the new damage model, when the tire gets towed out like that, the sim actually makes the tire wear more because it's wearing improperly that way. It's not lining up with the grooves. It's not doing what it needs to do. So when a normal run is, say, 45 laps and your tire is about 50%, 45% worn by the end of that run, he might have to pit sooner because that tire might be blown by that time.
Well, green-white checkered attempt number 2.
Out of 3. We got one more, Andrew. Do we use it or do we take it all the way to the checkered flag?
It's a good question. Cabri going to restart from the race lead. He goes outside. Heim on the inside. Then it's Schwartz, Peleg, 3rd and 4th. Trupiano, 5th. Reynolds, 6th. That's the position I was looking for. Smith back there in 7th. Then Kemp. And it looks like Vargas will restart 9th. Chin 10th. Everybody's still alive. 2 laps to go. Green, white, checkered this time. And the Speed Visions 100. 2 laps to go. Out of turn 2, they filter single file. Schwartz dropping back on those old tires. Peleg promoted to 3rd. Watch them run down here to turn number 3. White flag this time by if they can just get there without a caution.
Looks like everyone's keeping it clean, keeping their noses clean as we roll through. White flag in the air, Andrew.
White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. One more time around. Out front, it's Cabri. 2nd is Heim. Is there anything Peleg can do from 3rd? He's got to win this race to move on. Into turns 3 and 4. Is there any kind of last-ditch effort? He's just too far back. He sends it, but Cabri is going to walk out of Phoenix, now a 3-time winner, and keep anybody else from moving on. Welcome Aaron Smith and Josh Chin to the Final 4.
Blake Reynolds goes purple there at the end to try and push as far as he can to get in, and what a race. What an absolute dominating performance by Cabri.
Chase Cabri and Corey Heim both absolutely held this race on lockdown. And this is the effect. Nobody who was trying to get in on a last-ditch effort by a win or even by a long shot on points, nobody is able to do it. And Chase Cabri will take home another, we'll say short track race win, but the way it got with tempers and everything, I think that counts. Oh, so deserved for Cabri. Heim led a bunch of laps. Cabri led 50 of 109 that were completed. And that is win number 3 on the season. This is everything you want, right, Zach? They talk about it on NBC with the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity and Truck Series. You want that momentum. The kind of momentum that Heim has going into Phoenix in a couple of weeks for his championship bid in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, right? You want that momentum going into the Final 4. Cabri's got it. I don't care who's good on intermediates and what he thinks of Homestead. He's got that momentum to go in next week and leave a champion. And what a story that would be. He started the season as a substitute driver for Leighton Sabile for 2 races.
He still got his starts, though, Andrew. Able to put that work in, get the wins necessary to lock himself in, and, well, he's going to Homestead, top seed, most momentum out of anybody at this point. He looks like he could be the champion this season, especially since our defending series champion will not be in attendance next week inside of the Final 4.
That's right.
So,
Ryan Vargas not going to make it.
Once again, kudos to Chase Cabri for a dominating performance here tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, we'll quickly recap kind of who's in, who's out. Take a look at the point standings here. Everybody above the line, yeah, they're in. Everybody below, they're out. That's as simple as it gets. Nobody able to overcome the points deficits going into this race. They might get a little bit closer, but Aaron Smith, Josh Chin, I think Chin will have the edge, but they're all reset to 0 next week anyways. It's even footing. Whoever leaves with the top position is your champion. Between Blake Reynolds, Chase Cabry, Aaron Smith, and Josh Chin. What a Final Four. Absolutely no carryover from Season 5 to Season 6. A completely new Final Four. You don't see that very often.
Absolutely. Congratulations to all of these drivers on an absolutely standout season, but these Final Four drivers, they are looking amazing going into this last race of the season. Blake Reynolds, Chase Cabry, Aaron Smith, Josh Chin, all 4 of those drivers were absolutely incredibly consistent. Aaron Smith, wasn't he not in the top 20 in points last year?
Something like that.
So he had to go through the qualifying sessions, the knockout qualifying sessions, to be in these sessions. He got a few of the Pit Stop TV provisionals, I will say that, which allowed him to be in these races, but he absolutely put in that work, that consistency to be able to lock himself into that championship 4.
Let's quickly bring in our race winner, Chase Cabry. From pole position, 50 laps led, another, we'll say short track, maybe with an asterisk there for you, Chase Cabry. Another short track win, kind of. Intermediate short track, whatever you want to call it. You absolutely dominated, you and your teammate Corey Heim. Clearly, you guys have this thing on lock, and momentum is a big deal in the real world. It's a big deal in the sim world as well. You've got that going into Homestead. I know you've said before it's not your favorite track, but does this help you at all? Does it help your mentality going into the Final Four next week?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough being able to run next week. I'm gonna figure it out. Just because I'll be in Vegas for the SEMA show, so a buddy of mine's got a rig up there. I'm gonna try to run it on. But yeah, it was a good race, fun. Phoenix, one of my favorite racetracks. Me and my buddies used to run a lot of like little mini races, I would say, on that version of Phoenix. Forever growing up, we always used to do it, so I got a lot of laps out of that place. And Corey was really good. I think he was definitely we were pretty even. I felt like he was better at one point and I was better at another, and then I decided on that last pit stop to take 2 tires just because I was like, oh, I'm locked in, I might as well just go ahead and do it. And so I did, and it paid off. So yeah, it was a good race. Hog Tamers won too, that's cool. And go on to Phoenix.
And Chase, again, momentum is a big deal, but you do have to consider the fact that Blake Reynolds has been one of, if not the best, on intermediates. Is that any worry to you, or is it really just figure out the sim situation first, make sure you can run, and then kind of tackle it from there?
Yeah, that's my biggest challenge, is figuring out, SEMA, you've always got all these dinners and everything else, so see if I can figure it out, how to run it, have some fun. Like I said after Richmond, that Homestead is not my favorite place, so we'll see if we can figure it out and steal a championship.
Hopefully you can get some practice laps even with all your travel and obligations. But Chase, you're a very welcome addition after a couple of sub races and deciding to go full time. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on now a 3rd race win. Best of luck to you next week.
I appreciate it. We'll see you guys.
Chase Cabry, I think that is the best way you can put it, Zach. A very welcome addition to this championship, and now going for a champion, the title, going for it all next week. When I don't think anybody expected that when the green flag dropped at Daytona and he was subbing in the 25 car. Meanwhile, his teammate Corey Heim goes P2. Zach, here is your NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series regular season points champion.
Well, Corey Heim put on an absolute astounding performance tonight. Definitely had the strategy to put himself in contention to win this race. And again, I said it on the broadcast, congratulations to you again, Corey, for re-signing with Tricon Garage for next season, the Craftsman Truck Series. Tell us, how does it feel? You rolling out of here second tonight? It's been a good race for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was a good day for us. Definitely a fun race. It's the first time I've done this combination with the Gen 4 and Phoenix, or Old Phoenix, I should say. So that was fun. We, like you mentioned, we had the right strategy, and I, thought we were gonna, probably race it out there with Chase at the very end with the track position we needed to win the race. But, I got that caution, and I lost a race earlier this year by taking 2 and getting the lead at Richmond. I think it was pretty recent, and I didn't want to do the same, so I went the opposite strategy, and unfortunately, got the bottom end of it again. But that's just on me for not being aware of, the laps remaining and just kind of the situation. So, me and Chase were working together in Discord kind of throughout the race, and he let me by earlier on a green flag run. So, had a lot of respect for him for doing that, and didn't want to run into him or nothing for the win. So, it was fun. Fun racing with him and Hog Tamers and everyone at Elite Performance Industries. Huge thanks to them and Toyota Racing. So definitely felt like we were in position tonight, but I kind of made a mistake by taking 4 tires. I knew that it was a risk, and unfortunately, didn't pay off.
Well, I'm always a big advocate for 4 tires. I think you made the right call there. It just didn't necessarily play out in your favor. Just kind of walking the train back a little bit when it comes to the strategy calls. You were able to point yourself in position off of the fuel strat and the tire strategy. You pitted at the right time, especially with Chase Cabre. You guys pitted together, but you benefited better by coming out with the lead and a big lead there. Just kind of tell us what the mentality was of, were you guys just working together when it came to the pit strategy? Did you think that you were going to be able to be better off when it came to the strategy, or do you think anything else might have just played into your favor there?
I think just our racecraft is really similar. We both do a really good job saving tires, and with the pit strategy and whatnot, we normally mirror each other pretty well. He does a lot better job of qualifying most of the time, so that's kind of the main difference in track position. But luckily, I was able to get the lead in the mid portion of the race. But we weren't planning on pitting at the same time. But I just kind of mentioned I was coming to pit road, and he said I had to follow you down, and I knew I was going to have to be pretty solid on pit road, because when you're behind someone on pit road, I feel like it's way easier to kind of get a measure on it and beat them in, just get that extra inch, versus when you're the leader, you're just kind of guessing, if that makes sense. So I was pretty impressed with myself, honestly, with the green flag pit stop. I didn't think I was going to get in as well as I did, but that was definitely one of my better ones, and I was able to kind of get a lucky pit box with not having to deal with the curve of the corner. So I think that's a lot of the time I gained on pit road as well, and was able to get through lap traffic well, or the cars that had older tires, I should say. So, I feel like I put together a pretty good race. It just kind of didn't work out for us, but still a good day, and thankful for everyone at UFL for putting on a good show again.
Well, you did a great job today, Corey. You absolutely put yourself in a great spot, and congratulations once again for the second place. I hope to see you again next week, and while I have the chance, you got an off week this weekend, but I wish you the best of luck running for the championship in the Craftsman Truck Series next weekend. Congratulations.
All right, much appreciated, guys. Thanks.
Well, Andrew, that was your second place finisher tonight, Corey Heim, and then the third place driver, Sean Peleg. I know he's probably going to be kicking himself for almost being able to make it into the championship four, but here he is ready to talk to you. Or actually, is he? I don't see him actually.
We don't have third place. I'm going to keep this brief, guys. So, I just was doing my thing on social media. The Final Four is what we've covered. No changes there. There's an active shooter somewhere that my family lives in Lewiston, Maine. Quite frankly, I'm going to go make sure they're okay. This is something I never thought I'd have to do. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Quickly, here's a look at our upcoming broadcasts. Sunday, we're going to Martinsville Speedway for the Shake and Bake Racing Buckheader Cup Series, October 29th. October 30th, Willow Springs for Sim Lab Production Car Challenge action. That's at 9:30 Eastern. Wednesday, November 1st, we come back around for the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. I really wish we could go in on detail like we usually do. Hopefully, it's pretty understandable, the situation. I'm seeing somewhere in the teens dead. And I never thought in Maine there would be nearly 20 people dead in an active shooter situation. So many injured, dozens. So just keep Maine in your prayers. This is really an odd situation for me. It just really, wow. Anxiety provoking. So we're all good. We're all good. I'm gonna go check with family, make sure they're okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It has been a pleasure, as always. A big shout out to our partners, Whiplash Team Cams, ATVO, CC's Business, and a big shout out to John Palmieri, Tristan Hagenstein, Matt Wisher, Eric Webler, everybody with the series. I know tonight was a stressful night, 100%. I've been in their league owning position before. It's not great when you have some of the drama they had, and I just appreciate everything they do on a weekly basis. That said, Zach, thank you once again for being here. We're going to close. We will see you all next time, Homestead Miami Speedway. Make sure to be there. We'll see you November 1st.